It's always the worst when you were gonna do something and then something horrible happens to you and then you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm cheated.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I'm owed one.
My time has been robbed from me, and then I want to do it anyway.
Yeah, naturally.
I feel the same way whenever anything goes wrong when I'm like stretching a piercing or something. It's like, no, I'm going to do it. I don't care if it's going to be painful or any of that. Like, you're going in. Like, that's how I feel about things. It's like I wanted to get tattooed right after I got my tongue split.
Yeah, and I said that was stupid. I had to be your conscience.
I know, but like my mind is like, but I'm going to be behind. But then I'm like, behind what? What am I behind?
You openly have no finish lines.
Yeah, I know.
legit.
All finish lines have been erased and smudged into the sands.
It's a total trick, though. Like, my brain is just like, but I'm behind. But you're not, right? And it's not like 1 week ever really is going to make that much of a difference. Say you didn't work out for a week.
Oh, it sucks. I hate that.
It does, but like you're gonna work out next week.
See, if most people broke their tailbone like Kevin just did, they would not work out for a week. But not Kevin. He's like, keep going.
I'm that guy.
definitely
Like, I
going.
would definitely do that because I don't want to be cheated time.
And again, like I did squats that day. Fell on my ass, broke it.
I mean,
Not actually broke it. 'Cause
I
purple.
admire
It's
the
not broken.
attitude.
Yeah.
But the actual action is questionable.
yeah, of course. It's almost irresponsible. Because like I went
Mostly-
inside and then like lay down on the couch and I was just like, oh, this hurts so much. And then like after 10 minutes, the pain wasn't changing. So I was like, all right, let's just go to the gym.
Most of what I do in life is questionable anyway, so why should it be any
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
right? Like, just my whole existence would be like, why? To
Well, I mean,
most
that's
people.
existence in general is why, but I'm with you.
But like every step of like, oh, you're doing what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm doing this so I can do this. Why do you need that? Like, there would be a question for almost every part of my day.
Yep.
So, like, I'm sure you could map that out to anyone else too, though, right? Like if I was just to observe Scott, a day in Scott's life, I'm sure I would be like, what the fuck is he doing?
Probably.
Like every few minutes.
What shit is he up to now?
Right? So, like, I think when you know that, all of your actions are kind of ridiculous from someone's lens.
From anyone else's
So,
lens.
like,
Literally,
don't be
the
too
closest
harsh
person
and
to
judge.
you can look at your life and go, why?
Yeah.
What was your plan?
Yeah.
And the things that bother people, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no way you can know what's setting someone off.
No, everybody's so different. Like, not a lot sets me off, but there's a lot of things that, like, irk me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're little things. They're just like, I would never do it that way. That kind of thing. Just like, I would never do that.
Yeah, I got the right way to do this.
I don't even know if it's right. It's certainly not right.
No.
Because obviously there's many ways to skin the cat on that one. But, like, I don't know. There's just a way that I could view it and, like, be content.
Sure.
And then there's a way of doing it. Like, so I went during the last lockdown. I went and helped plant trees. And that was, like, the first physical job I've ever had, literally. I only did it for 2 days. But the amount of misused energy or, like... So basically, like... So if you were going to plant 50 trees,
Sure.
right? And there was, like, a process that had to happen for each tree.
Yeah.
What would you do first?
I mean, hopefully get set up to do several at once.
Okay. Would you try and do all of them at once?
No.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's what was happening. It was like, so say you've got like stages 1 through 7.
You're going to
in
dig
planting a
50
tree.
holes, put 50 trees near holes, put
Yep.
50 trees in holes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. And it took so much longer than it needed to.
Exponential amounts of
Like,
time.
Especially since we had enough hands to
But
do them
it's
one
like
at a
that
time and
conveyor
systematically
belt
go through
logic,
it.
right?
Well, but like that, like this, yes, if there was a conveyor belt.
Yeah.
But this took 3 days where we could have done it in probably 1.5. And it was just one of those, like, I'm sitting there going,
So
like,
3
oh,
days
man,
for
this
50
is...
trees, but like 50 trees like this?
Yeah, they're full-size trees.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, you know
okay.
that you have
Good-
to,
they're
like,
good
crane,
Well,
size.
that's real work.
crane over. Yeah, it was like,
Okay.
so, but it was one of those things where it was just like, I know nothing about doing this, and I could see that this was inefficient.
Yeah.
And it was hourly for me, so it's like, well, whatever. I guess I'll just be here doing this.
Perhaps that's why.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Well,
Like,
but
you
it's
get
not
paid
for
by
them.
the hour, Kev.
But if you
Slow
get
down.
if you
a
contract,
forest wasn't built in a day.
I'm
son.
just thinking from the owner's perspective of like, well, you contracted, you're getting paid.
Yeah.
You're getting paid the same amount. So like, why wouldn't you do it in a day and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you take the 3? But yeah. Those things where it's just like I have to bite my tongue the whole time I'm there.
I have a big question on this subject.
Go for it.
If you were planting trees 6 months ago, why is this the first time we're hearing about one of Kevin's odd jobs?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's like the
weird
first.
because we've been doing the podcast a while now.
The whole time.
And also weird. I expected you to chime in about that time you
Yeah,
planted trees.
I was expecting the exact same
in
thing.
Venezuela or
Yeah,
something.
something.
I was like, wait a minute, Scott's gonna know everything about planting
he
trees.
doesn't have a tree planting story. What is going on? I mean,
Oh, I got a degree in planting trees
like I have planted trees, but not for money.
for just for fun.
Just
Yeah.
for fun.
Oh yeah, hobby.
Yeah.
on
tree-
Sundays around
hobbyist.
3:30.
So I was working at the Superstore Garden Center, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And there were these.
There's another job for the list, everybody.
Garden center attention.
Superstore Garden Center.
That's how I got started with Superstore. I started working at the Garden Center for a summer.
Sure.
Nice.
It was interesting, but the time goes really slowly. So
I did the price checking.
did you?
Yeah, I
Cool.
was a rollerblader.
I was a night. No.
Yeah. I was a rollerblader
They don't do
before
that anymore, do they?
Okay, so I'll tell that story after. Keep going.
Kevin's the one who had the lawsuit that ended the rollerblading in
No,
Superstore.
weirdly enough, I wasn't, but I was around when that lawsuit happened.
I found
good
that
times.
We
impressive.
lost our ability to,
Like,
and
you
I had
see
to
someone
walk.
flying down a friggin' aisle, and you're like, that motherfucker's gonna crash into me.
Well, when they said it, I was like, of course, because what we used to do to kill time when we weren't price checking
was
is
race around.
Exactly.
Obviously.
You just do a lap of the store as fast as you
You're
can.
17, you have
Yeah.
rollerblades, and you're in a giant grocery store with perfectly smooth commercial
100%.
tile.
It was glorious.
Yeah.
It was absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
What a time. What a time to be alive. And then, yeah, I couldn't last much longer after that because it was so boring.
Yeah.
It was like, because do a price check on rollerblades, 15, 20 seconds, you're there. And do it
Well-
on foot, you're like, all right, well, I guess I'll
They
be
don't even
back
have
in
price check
10
guy
minutes.
anymore at all.
Really?
Well, how do you need a price check?
All the time. Superstore is terrible
No,
for
not
that.
anymore. Computer systems have changed a lot.
So it's not the computer system part. It's the people being lazy changing tags on shelves.
Well, that you can always bank on.
Yeah. Because like
Human laziness.
that's the thing. It's like it's not about the computer. The computer is deadly, but like unless they do digital signage, man, it was terrible. It was unbelievable how many prices were wrong. It was
Incredible.
wild. Anyway, sorry. Tree planting.
Tree planting.
Oh, I got some free half dead cedars and planted in my parents' backyard when I was a youngin.
Can you nurture a half dead cedar back to life?
I did not successfully. No,
Well,
I think one of them lived.
They
Really?
should teach
Yeah.
classes on that,
yeah.
like home care kind of thing, right? Like how to grow a tree. Like
I think
that
they should
seems
start with like
worthwhile.
taxes or something.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
That would be nice.
done.
modest goals, Kevin.
Oh, okay,
we'll get
sorry.
there. First, we
Yeah.
need to learn how to save the earth,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Speaking of
One
save
tree
the
at a
earth,
time.
I know this is like we don't usually do topical things, but like, did you hear the Elon Musk thing?
No,
Oh yeah, I've seen
So-
that. But apparently he's been misquoted, and they're running this crazy clickbait like headline about how he needs the UN to prove that they could solve world hunger, and he'll sell his shares or something.
So the long and short of it is,
I didn't
someone
see him his what he actually said. I never went and looked
I saw
it up.
his tweets. It was so it's pretty straightforward. Like the UN, some representative from somewhere basically said when in October 19th or something like that, he had a massive increase, and he said like you could like this is great that you have this much wealth, but you could solve world hunger for 2% of what you just increased. $6 billion was the quote. And Elon Musk just retweeted him basically saying,
Send me a
well,
plan.
if you have a
Yeah,
plan,
that's basically
and
what
if
it-
you leave the plan open source for everyone to see where the money's going, and you can prove to me that this will actually help, I will sell test stock and do it.
done. Incredible.
Which, like, his stock has gone up from then, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But, like, I love that. I love that. That seems
Of
just like
course.
such a badass mentality of like, yeah, you want $6 billion? Let's do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Plus, I honestly do not think it's a $6 billion problem.
It's not, and they would never be open source about it because they would almost certainly take a huge cut of it.
Yeah.
I really hope they go about it the same way they did back in the 80s and just start like loading Africa up with like high sodium phosphorus based fertilizers.
Yeah.
And really just lead them into it. I forget what the actual crisis was called.
Destroying their soil?
Yeah, that's the one. Oh yeah, there it is. Cool, good.
That's
I hope
quite the
we do
title.
that again.
Creating a desert, more desert.
Yes,
Jesus
destroying what oasis there was.
Yeah, because some of Africa is the most fertile land ever.
And we pumped it full of phosphorus,
Not
high
anymore.
sodium fertilizer, and just trashed it.
Oh yeah, because we
it's
know
great.
the best.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just killing it.
Yeah.
But like that type of narrow thinking of like a problem is this amount of dollars
Yeah.
is really like
Well, what are the
short-sighted.
factors that go into creating the problem? Unless you can
Yeah.
cure those, you're not curing anything.
No.
I saw a clickbait article yesterday that I was very excited about. I saw a really cool clickbait article about how the
A great clickbait
speaking of ruining land.
Yeah, let's
I
do
saw
it.
a really cool clickbait article about how people in the food industry, like especially TV show food stuff,
Yeah.
and recipe crap, they're going to get away from avocados
Good.
because of the devastating
oh
effect
my
it's
God.
having in South America. Yeah, exactly.
Man.
So I was super overjoyed to be like, hey, look, the universe is seeking some goddamn balance.
Yeah. Every time I see like now with avocado on like Wendy's and shit, I'm just like,
Like,
oh, that's
no,
horrendous.
get the fuck away from that. Yeah. Do
That
not put
and-
guac on my fucking sub.
Yeah.
Get the fuck away from me.
It's amazing, like how something can become such a weapon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's a fucking. It's literally just. What?
It's a stone fruit.
Yeah. It's a fucking fruit.
It's a superfood. It's delicious. It's good for you. It's full of essential oils
It's
and
basically
omegas.
a
And
Batman villain. Now.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's crazy how that can happen though.
The real one is palm oil,
Oh
but
my
we're
God.
not there
Yeah,
yet.
I know about
We're not there
oh my
yet.
God, that's astounding.
Yeah,
Palm
yeah.
oil is astounding, and it's
Yeah.
like the beauty industry is destroying the world.
Oh, and like noodles.
Yeah. Oh,
If,
yeah.
if you're trying to buy like some fucking ramen, 90% of them have palm oil as like the second ingredient.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Well, but that's also because we have decided that it's far better to get our oils from things that don't have oil in them than it is to use animals. Like to render fat and to use like say like more bioavailable fats that are meat based. That is apparently evil, and instead we should slash burn forests.
Yeah.
Well,
so we
if you're-
can use hexane to extract oil that does not exist in a product.
Yes.
Choosing one evil over another.
Oh my
right?
God, yeah.
Like,
It
it's-
sure is, yes.
But like we can't think that way because we have to think. I want to be good. I don't want to hurt animals, right?
Yeah, but
because
then
animals
fuck the
have
cheetahs, I
faces,
guess.
and we can reach down,
Jesus.
we can pet the animal, and we can take the animal for a walk and all this stuff. But you can't do that with a forest, right? So
Yeah, you can.
Well,
Go stand in one. It's awesome.
You know what
sure.
reduced
I'm
the-
not saying you should do this. What
Like-
I'm saying is when people are weighing things. So
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Oh well, I would.
This one has a face.
I wouldn't hurt my friend over here. Fuck
Oh.
these guys.
Did you? I mean, it's also probably a clickbaity article, but did you see that study? Ah, fuck. I can't remember who did it. It was a university, but they've now figured out that I love science, but that plants make noises when they're killed to signal to other plants to start developing toxins because they're in pain.
Wow.
Plants feel pain.
Wow.
And they make screams that we can't
so,
hear.
so I've heard about some of this stuff. My buddy's going through. He's giving me marine biology, and he's been
Oh, that's terrifying.
He's been piping-
That's a sad one, right
well. He's
there.
going to save the world. He's going to do
Oh,
great.
thank God.
But yeah, like with the express intention to save.
It
the
just
fucking
seems
planet.
like like when you get into any field that's just like unreal depressing. Just
Have
like
you-
you're starting at such a deficit.
Have you researched coral bleaching?
Oh my God, it's
Like in
terrifying.
2016, we lost
Fucking terrifying.
60% of coral.
I will say though,
Some of
did
it's
you
come
see,
back, but like
Boy and Slats thing is working like gangbusters,
No
collecting
way.
plastic, tons of plastic.
Cool.
His little net system is apparently amazing. It's just working.
and
Just is
he's
working.
getting funding from it
Oh,
to
yeah.
actually keep doing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Who knows?
he's like if they keep doing this and actually can put it to scale, man, get all this plastic the fuck
just
out
like,
of here. Who thought plastic was a good idea? It's trash.
Well, at one point we didn't have an idea, right?
Well, but that was the technology of the future, right?
Well,
But
and
this is all like, yeah, it was.
That was in the 50s.
we can't
Yeah.
have much without plastic.
Yeah, we
Not gonna
can.
lie to you.
Yeah, we can.
Well, maybe now.
For sure we can.
We should go walk around sometime and like imagine that printer had to be made with a metal case
I love it.
or
It'll work.
in a wooden box.
I love it. It will work.
It's just going to cost
They
you.
did that.
Okay, hold up. We got a poacher pod at work from like 1952. that
That's what I'm
still works.
saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, man.
And like I bought one for my house, like a cheap one off Amazon,
And it broke in 20 minutes.
instantaneously.
The first time I tried to make poached eggs,
Yeah.
it melted through the top.
Yeah. Like you make that
immediately.
printer $3,000 and you make every component in it metal
Or wood.
and it works forever.
True.
Yeah,
Fair.
but with the rate of progression we're doing, that printer is from 1995 and no longer works with anything else in here.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I mean, it's naive
Unless
to think.
you're going to be able to program a shell that you can put software into forever and just update the
Well, I
software.
guess you could replace the components.
just
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
just the little bits, right? And then you've got a really nice hard case on that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
won't
just-
go down.
Like, I get the idea of cheap shit. Like, cheap shit is fun. I get it. You know,
It is?
well, yeah, because it makes things that would normally be inaccessible accessible, right?
Exactly.
So it's like you get to get a TV that's giant for $400 rather than
What's better than
$4,000.
no car? A cheap car.
A cheap car, yeah. You get a little Yaris or whatever the hell they are. But like, I don't know. I just think that eventually we're going to have to wise up to it. We're eventually
yeah.
going to have to wise up and go, like, there's certain things that, okay, maybe you can forgive having some plastic components, but there's little to no excuse otherwise.
You know what would reduce global demand for brown and black product?
Nope.
Lower population densities.
Well, I mean,
Good luck with that.
they're working on that, I guess.
I don't think we should work on it, but
That's not what you're proposing?
I'm just an overpopulationist. Here we are.
Well, I mean,
I kind of do think we should work on it, but I mean,
Well,
how
I don't
do
think
you?
I don't think you can enforce it.
no.
No,
like-
you have
like-
to suggest it.
But I think we should be suggesting it. I think it
Yeah.
should be a common thing where we encourage lower, like reduction in population
Well, yeah.
through normal
And it needs
ethical
to be,
means.
It needs to be
Well, but
said
that's-
that not everybody should be a parent too.
That comes with...
Yeah, that's an awkward one, but yes.
But like,
No, but it's true.
North America's population isn't growing other than by immigration, right?
well, that's what
So
I'm saying
it's-
is, okay, so I feel like we then have the responsibility to slow down reproduction and take in more
That's-
refugee
but that's
until we
what's
can
happening.
rate. Yeah,
To make-
and
make
not
a-
to mention if you
but the world
increase the wealth,
population is still growing dramatically.
but that's mostly in underdeveloped areas, right?
Absolutely.
So as development increases, population decreases.
But
usually.
but those centers that have 10 million people, if that city of 10 million people, if their standard of living all raises to get them to start reducing their population, the amount consumed in that time, like we're dealing with such large numbers now that if they suddenly if that city of 10 million starts consuming the same way a person consumes here in Lethbridge, like across the globe, that is an unsustainable path. Right, so there's got to be like a way to
so
converge.
you're assuming that
I'm assuming a
production-
lot of things
yeah.
in this super simplified
well,
statement.
Yeah,
yes,
and I don't mean to be the like devil's advocate in this because obviously I think there's going to be problems with
No,
it.
you
But
should
in terms of like, if as things increase, all things increase, right? So in terms of like consumption, yes, but production would increase as well, which
Which is
also
the problem. Production is the
necessarily.
problem.
No,
Not
no.
necessarily. Social loafing is a thing.
What are you saying?
Social loafing is a thing. The more people, the
explain that?
less work gets done, right? The lighter the work. But then again, when you see 4 people doing something, you don't individually have to work as hard. Because you're thinking these 3
Okay,
guys
that's
can help.
physicality though, right?
But if you map that outward, right, and to say there's 20 people in this building,
Yeah.
and you need to get 20 tattoos done
Yeah.
that day. Now each person's going to work on one tattoo. They might be better in
Yeah.
the end, right? But if you had 5 guys and they've
Doing
got to
4
get,
each.
and then now they're going to work harder. It's not necessarily going to be better tattoos though.
Mm-hmm.
So these things don't like that. You can keep that going into any industry. You can put that into
Well,
my
it's just
work.
a matter of the sheer quantity of fertilizers and base building products we create. Like just to create concrete, steel, and fertilizer, we produce such mind-blowing amounts of chemical and
Yeah.
greenhouse gas waste.
Yeah. But at the same time, so okay,
crippling amounts.
What
Okay,
all I'm trying to say with that is that when you increase the amount of people, it doesn't necessarily mean you're increasing the amount of output.
yeah, it does.
But output is
100%
the
it
problem
does.
here too.
No, because it's not going to be output in one field. It's going to diversify and expand and
Yeah.
create new industry. Like there, I
More
think
people
it's
growing
Iceland.
sustainable algae, hopefully.
I think it's in Iceland. They've got this huge carbon farm where it's just these massive, this massive vacuum essentially to do carbon scrubbing. And it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, they might have industries to create the pollution and things like that, but now all of a sudden that efficiency has gone up. It's freed up those types of engineers that were building these things are now able to put themselves into industries to undo those things.
I think
right?
that
So
that's
it's
a
like,
really hopeful outlook on things.
no, that's out of necessity. That's not hope.
Let me explain what I mean. So, I can make this make sense from where I'm standing.
Yeah, I guess I am the optimist.
With my job.
I still agree with what you're saying.
With my
It's a
job,
bonus.
when we had 2 people
take
in
it.
there, we were getting almost as much work done as now when we're fully staffed, because we're just giving people a home basically. There's a lot of people who are just suckling off the teats of life.
There's lots of people in
they're-
Lethbridge who need a home.
They're only able to do that because there are certain people expending more energy than others.
Yes.
So if you were to replace me and the other guy that were there during the lockdowns with 2 of the people that we brought back, it would not go the same way.
Yeah, of course. That's competency, though.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, there are always going to be people who are hanging on to the tethers of other people for success. They're not necessarily going to output the same amount.
Yeah, of course.
So what I'm saying is that you have a certain amount of resources, and now you have more people
Yep.
sharing them, right?
Yes.
So not necessarily more resources, though, because there are more people. Not necessarily. These things aren't a 1-to-1 ratio.
No, of course not.
So
But
if
I'm
you have
saying
8
that if
billion
you,
people, it doesn't mean you're going to have 8 billion the effort of one person.
no, God, no. But what I'm saying is that if you have progress increasing, like all things go together in that respect. So if you have things move up, that means you're going to have people that are abusing the system, and there's going to be people that are creating the system. Like
Yeah.
everything in that sphere goes up in relation to their natural occurrence on this planet, right? Like the girl with the highest IQ they've ever found is from India, I believe now.
Okay.
Or
What is the highest IQ?
I think she was like 158.
Is that really as high as it goes?
No, I mean there's a guy that professes to have had a self-proclaimed 200 IQ or something like
Wasn't
that.
Stephen Hawking like 188 or something?
I could be wrong. It could be, but anyway, she's the
I know,
highest. that
like
they
if you
found.
get into like
and she's a little
140,
girl.
you're pretty genius. But
Yeah,
I know the ones online are pretty gratuitous.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but like a real good one, like I mean, you could take an IQ test today online.
Yeah.
but it's
Scott
not.
and I have done 'em.
It's not necessarily a trustworthy source.
No, especially the free ones.
Yeah.
But
Like I could be a certified genius sitting here because I answered some questions right.
That's right. I figured out how many triangles were in that shape. I did it.
The only thing I was trying to get at from my side note there was that if you were to limit population based on some sort of competency, like I don't think any of us would be here anymore.
so she's 8 years
Depending on
old.
how rigid you want to make this.
Right, right.
So she would be 10 now. She's 8 years old, or she was 10, she's 8 years old at the time of this article, but she'd be 10 now, and she has an IQ of 162. Stephen Hawking was estimated at 160.
So,
Crazy.
well, that'll go way higher if she's only 10.
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily.
So that
IQ's
doesn't necessarily increase.
yeah, like
That's
IQ
her-
you can refine and you can make it faster, but in terms of like
I'm saying there's a lot of good schooling
Is
and personal
IQ
development.
not just the possibility of your intelligence?
Yes.
Like it's just like kind of like
Basically.
your capacity,
But I
not
feel like it-
necessarily what you know.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
the
at 25, your life experience will still play into it. Like what you
if anything, you might be at a deficit at that point. You know what I mean? Because then all of a sudden
You're
you
less
have
open.
yeah, you have other things coming into play. That's one of those things that like potential would be most at the youngest age, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that's why they
I guess
like
it depends how
Mozart
you do
was
the
taught
testing.
how to play all these different instruments when he was 4 and 5
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah, fair.
Because like when you're very young, your mind is pliable.
Mm-hmm.
Now just putting on a new pair of pants feels hard sometimes. It's like, oh my goodness, this isn't quite comfortable.
But
Right.
this is one of those things
Did
that I'm
that
trying to
this
say
morning.
is like so as the world expands, you get your 162s coming
Yeah.
out as well that are reinventing the world and reinventing the way that we understand things.
And we're
then-
identifying those individuals sooner now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can nurture them. Like
Yeah.
as if she didn't get discovered at 162 and then now isn't getting trained by the best in the world.
Exactly.
Imagine being her and having like just a kind of dumb sibling. Just like looking down on them like,
Well, but, like,
God damn it,
I don't
I'm
think
solving world hunger.
I don't think she would look down on them, to be honest with you, because like usually really, really high IQ comes with a lower EQ, which means that those things don't matter to you as much. So
or does that mean you're less sensitive?
Yes, that's where I
100%
was
you'd be less
going.
sensitive.
Maybe
You'd
you
call-
have.
You might be a total asshole. to your dumb
Exactly where I
sibling.
was
You'd just be
going.
calling it. You'd be calling it as it is because you wouldn't be worried about hurting feelings, right?
Yeah,
Because feelings don't make
That's
sense.
exactly what he's saying.
I'm saying like she's probably not got a well of heart to share, right? Because like you said,
Well, it's
EQ
expressed
and
in-
IQ are different.
Well, but that's the hard thing that I find with that type of language because she would express it in the language that she knows,
Yeah.
right? So like what you're fluent in and what you're able to express by are usually two different things. That's one of the things that I have a hard time when people like Jesse and I have those rules of not saying that we're dumb.
Yeah.
It's because like intelligence is such a broad spectrum, and you express your intelligence through the lens that you know best.
I always prefer not to go like, oh, I'm stupid. More like, oh, I fail at this.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
like I'm
because
the
that's a
worst at
pass
this.
fail thing. You can
Right.
understand that.
Or
Right?
fuck, was I a dumbass yesterday?
Like
Said that before.
Yeah,
when you,
whoopsies.
the way you phrase it says a lot.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
And not to mention, like, is it who you are or is it what happened? Like,
Yeah.
'cause
So it's really
I
funny.
am this is
We've
really
been
hard.
having this conversation with Abby, who just turned 7, like 4 times a week
Yeah.
for the past couple of months. She suddenly got this real like shamey streak.
Oh, that's tough.
It's super tough because you still
That's
like
identity shit too,
You still
right?
need to find a way to improve behavior.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're like, oh crap! If we're at the point where you're shaming yourself now, but now that's the thing that's causing her to continue the freakouts. You're like, how do you say, okay, let's find a way to calm down and stop yelling and crying and screaming. Please don't do that. But also, you're not bad at the same time. It's a hard line to walk.
Well, because like we measure a lot of these things in the world around us and our success within that world. But
Well,
in terms of like you as a person, good or bad, I am a success or a failure. That has nothing to do with succeeding or failing at things.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Like, but the language around it for us is
well, it's got more to do with what we think of ourselves and what
Yeah.
we're doing in that moment.
So, well,
and but that's a hard thing, right? Like the thinking of yourself and what you are.
oh
are
yeah,
two
very
separate
different
things,
things. People who start acting actually will go in public and get people in public to, like, their friends will get someone to describe that guy to me, pointing to one of their acting classmates, and then they'll get these like candid explanations of it's your essence.
That's
they're
what I
looking for.
try and do of myself all the time.
Yeah.
Because if
Like-
you can do that, like if you can get an accurate depiction of what people see you as, you can use it as a weapon. Like you can
Yeah.
use that as strength.
Yeah.
You can maneuver from that, like outside in, and then you can actually get things from that. Like
Absolutely.
when you know, oh, people think I'm a freak. Like if I, oh, look at this. Like people see me and they're going to think this. If I know that, it prepares me for how to interact with that. Right. If I just walk around like, what do you mean I'm different looking? Right. And I get angry at everyone who mentions anything. Well, I'm not being very honest.
No.
Right. Like that's not an honest interaction.
Yeah.
So you can do that with anything though. Like if you know you're not very good at something, then you know to get help with that or
Okay,
you know.
so here's a question in that. So
Sure.
yours is a little bit more obvious.
Obvious, yeah.
Right? But say someone that's hiding, right? That they're doing everything the way that the world around them wants them to. They're wearing the right clothes, they're doing their hair normal, they're trying to fit as much into the mold as they can.
How do they know their essence is?
Well,
how
I would,
do they understand how people perceive them?
let me first, before addressing that, I would caveat that what I'm doing is in a way a form of hiding, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not like the things that are outside
it's
are actually going to bother me for people to notice, right? You'll never be able to pick out what's actually at the core of me from the outside in.
It's
Like, that
projecting
won't-
one essence before they have a chance to gather
Exactly.
a deeper one.
There's no possible way that someone could say something about my appearance and bother me. They would have to know the right lever to move to actually get a reaction out of me. They'd have to talk something else.
So
But to your point about, say you're just walking down the road and you have generic whatever clothing on and you just look like random guy 4, right? I don't think they get much of an impression one way or the other.
well, but they they do, right? Which is going to be,
Standard fare.
yeah, it's going to be safety basically,
Yep.
right? Because like anything that's within the bubble that they understand is going to appear as safe, and anything that's outside of it is going to be a potential threat in
Man.
terms of how we view it.
I'm not sure because I will walk around and I actually pay a fair close attention to what I project onto people I see. Whether it's someone I cross in the street and never speak to, or that someone I meet at a party, I formulate my conclusion, I take a quick snapshot of what I think this person's going to be like, and then I interact with them. And I kind of like, I don't do that one all the time, but I do try to take a snapshot of what I think when I first see them, based on their visual appearance and how they behave from across the room, kind of thing.
To me,
And
what I
then-
pick up on quicker is body language.
That's what I'm
The
saying.
way
Is
someone's moving about, you almost get that like.
And by-
I know what this person's about.
so I'll take that snapshot, and often enough, I'm surprisingly close. I'll get surprised sometimes. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely people who have crazy like high energy that throw me off, and then I speak to them, and they're super down to earth and chill and cool. But more often than not, I kind of get a feel for them, interact with them, and the two aren't that far off.
Well,
like the two impressions.
We have several Nepalese people at work.
Oh hell yeah!
And we've had a few like Indian people, like actual like not natives, Indian people, because we have a worker outreach program where we bring them in, they learn skills, whatever.
And
they
probably
get.
the language too, if they're
Some of them are better at talking
recently
than
immigrated.
others, like speaking English than others, but they get it better than most of our English-speaking people do. Like you can make jokes to them and they understand. Like say you get like a young like kid come in and they're doing a terrible job. Like they'll know it too, and we're almost giggling together, kind of thing. And there's no capacity for words to explain that. So like the body language and the social cues that are passed on, they don't need the words.
No, of course not.
So like I really found a lot of value over the last few years, especially in just like just the unsaid parts of life.
Yeah.
Like I could probably live most of my life, and it's funny to say this on a podcast without ever
Without talking.
speaking. Like I can work with other people without ever talking for a whole
episode
day.
72, we're just going to body language into the camera.
Sounds lovely.
And
I mean,
then
it
release an
wouldn't-
audio only stream.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem with that is that you could probably do something like that and make it fairly entertaining for people who are in the know.
It's just
Yeah.
called charades.
But
really.
But like anyone outside of the know would have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Right. Because that kind of stuff has to be like intuited and learned on like a personal level.
Yeah, it's experience.
You can't just walk up to someone and start body language interacting with them.
I mean, you can,
Well,
and
it'll
then
just
you
be
get
mimes.
the cops called on you, I'm sure.
Well, this guy was gesturing at me strangely.
Yeah, he's dancing.
He
I
was
don't get
making
it.
faces and contorting his hips.
So I made eye contact with this guy in the grocery store, and then he followed me around, continuing to hold eye contact the
Well, it
whole
wouldn't be a
time.
good time to start it now. People have never been more combative,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we're combative over fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like everyone's assuming that the other person is the enemy from
Yeah.
the get-go.
Yep.
And so they're just waiting to have proof of it.
Well, but this is also one of those things that I wish we talked about, because the more people understand that like, most people tend to think that they're unique. So when a statistic is said, when like a generalization about the human biology is made, a lot of people will hear that and they will go, "That's not me. That's everyone else.
I am exempt from
I
this."
am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am the god in this one." So
I'm not a
that-
slave to those same biological
Yeah.
interests.
Yeah. So my question would be, how do we get people to accept the fact that they are a part of that we all do this?
I do
whatever
it all
it
the
is.
time, personally. I'll say in my head, in any given situation where I'm judging someone else being stupid or something, I'm like, yeah, I'm just one of these fucking goblins. I am one of the problem.
But I'm going to say the answer that Kevin's looking for here, and it's psychedelics.
Yeah,
Good.
thank you.
You know what would make drugs safer? If they were sold in the store.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
amazing. Guess
course.
what? No more stupid fentanyl overdoses because you got the wrong drug.
I think some
Like-
people like the hustle for it though. Like I really
Yeah,
do
of
think
course.
some people enjoy that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like
I think there are people
like
in
you were
this
saying,
city-
there's people
yeah.
who still use
Yeah,
that guy.
that don't go to the Apple store of weed to get their weed. Like, come on.
I know a guy that sells a bunch of different substances above market value on the black
yeah,
market.
yeah, I
Like,
know.
what
We
do you-
talked about this.
You can buy this from a store for cheaper,
Yeah.
but they're picking it out of your barbecue.
Yeah.
What?
I think they like that.
They're
Ross.
leaving money in a coffee
Dirty
can.
lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like reselling shit that you can buy at Walmart. It's like, what are we talking about
It
here?
must just be like you get used to it, and then
Yeah.
it's like nostalgic.
Sure.
It's like, you can order mushrooms online to your house for less than this guy is selling them to you
I've been getting
out
ads
of the
for
back
it
of
on
his
my
Civic.
I've been getting ads for it on my YouTube and my Instagram.
That's because
for
you've been
just
looking at that, right?
gray market mushroom sales.
I got to tell you, Kevin, I haven't got those ads.
Well, you will now.
I might. Our
But-
phones are really quick to jump on ads.
But it was just like I was shocked. Like I was absolutely shocked that it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, we're okay. We're almost there. Great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're almost
Speaking
there.
of almost there. What is this, episode 70?
Yeah. 30 away.
30 away from the next.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be legalized by the time we get it.
But we have to get Rick on.
Yeah, that would be great.
I
It'll be
really
quiet,
want
but it'll be
Rick
great.
to do a podcast sometime.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I know. I brought it up to him, and he's like, oh, fuck that.
Okay, so here's a question. It's on the psychedelic landscape.
Sure.
Because, like, my life is very different now, like, considerably.
Even the way
From
you're
whose?
sitting is very different now.
Well, that's because of my broken
considerably.
ass, so that's a little different. But the way I view things now is, like, really, really weird. Mm-hmm. The best way I can describe it.
You have those weird glasses that make everything go prismy?
Yeah, no, not quite.
Okay.
But I just, like, I'm having a hard time not hearing the underlying sources of things
Yeah.
when I talk to people.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Your intention, their intention, all that shit. What
no.
are the components of this conversation?
I'm hearing belief more than anything. I'm hearing individual belief in things that need to be let go of.
I'll even say things to people and afterwards go, where did I get that and why am I holding on to that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And
even in
it's-
my own, I mean, it's harder to see your own, but even in my own sometimes.
oh, I
like,
do that.
More often as other people's shit.
Like
obviously.
you said something where I'm just like, you said they pull the right lever to get at me, like shame.
You would need to know the right lever to pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't have a lever anymore, and I don't know why. There's not a thing you could ask me about that I wouldn't answer calmly,
So
and that's weird.
I have a specific point to go to on that. That it doesn't really bother me anymore. But when I was with an ex-girlfriend, she would say something back when I would see Ivan less, because now I'm with him most of the time, 4 days a week anyway. She would say something like, "I'm better off without you," something like that.
Jesus.
Hardcore.
Well, because she knew that I felt bad because I wasn't around as much as I wanted
So
to
she
be.
just wanted to step
So
on
she
that.
just digs the knife in deeper.
This is, 10, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
somewhere in that area. It was when he was very young, and I was only seeing him on the weekends, and it was like a visit in the afternoon kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be there more. It
Yeah,
was-
of course.
We had a court order. Me and my son's mother had a court order. She
Well,
had,
if you didn't want that, the statement wouldn't bother you.
right. So, and she knew that.
Yeah.
She was like, I had confided a lot in this person because
That's vicious.
she knew you better than anybody at one point in your life,
Right.
right?
Well, in some ways, probably still, because when we got together, we were both very vulnerable. So we shared a lot of our past damage with one another. And then we would get into arguments, and she would use certain tools that only she knew about to inflict injury on me. Right? It never had anything to do with my outward appearance.
Yep.
It would always be like little digs about me as a dad, stuff like that. and-
you let her into your insecurities and vulnerabilities.
You give someone power when you
That's
do that,
right.
right? And now that person is uniquely equipped to harm you because it's not like someone on the road is going to say something like that.
No.
They're not going to even know I'm a dad. They're probably going to assume I'm not, right? So that's what I meant by that. That particular tool is not a problem for me anymore
Yeah.
because obviously that's much different than it was then
Yeah.
for all kinds of reasons.
Well, because you're able to live closer to the reality that you want.
Now, if
That's
I had to give you one today, I have a much harder time even thinking of one.
no, that's good.
Like I can't honestly be like, and I would just admit it if I could, but I can't think of anything right now that would have that kind of power over me.
Well, yeah,
But
I mean that's a heavy hammer.
definitely back then there were quite a few of those. Like there were a lot of unresolved issues that if you knew the right thread to pull on, then I could come unraveled on you. Like it wouldn't necessarily be I'm gonna cry. It would be more like I'm gonna be angry.
Yeah, of course. Anger.
Right.
Anger is usually the response, right?
So I don't know what I would have for that now. All I meant to say there was that it would never be external. Like you couldn't just go, "Oh, you look ugly."
Yeah.
Like I had someone today. I did one of those side-by-side posts on Instagram yesterday of 10 years ago to now, face tattoo thing. And someone was like, I really love your Uncle Fester and Frankenstein costume because I'm bald in the one and I had the big pompadour in one. I'm like, clearly this person is trying to get at me, but it's like, you know, like it has, like what?
There's no weight to it.
You think I don't think I'm gorgeous to begin with.
Yeah.
So if you call me ugly, what's it going to do to me? Like, it's tough. Like, it's tough to get there now. But at one point in my life, it was a little easier. So I can understand where you're coming from, where you say you don't know where you have a lever.
Yeah, I might have one. I can't think of it. Like, I can't think of
But
something that would be...
said,
Like, there's nothing really that I would guard right now.
you hadn't told us about planting trees.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
So
That's a really fair point.
That makes a lot. It's something I've thought of you before. You are guarded.
Sure.
You are guarded, not maybe even intentionally, but just
It's practiced.
you have an air of I'm not going to share if I don't want to. Because like Scott and I have both opened up a bit more about our backstories on here than you have. And I'm not,
You know-
this is not me
no,
attacking
that's,
you.
That's reasonable.
Find that lever, Jared. Pull it. Find that
go
damn
for it.
lever.
I'm not looking to.
I would love to.
I've speculated on this before that usually you're like the reserved one.
Yeah.
Because Scott will get a little telly, and I'll obviously, but this is the Remy show, so
Yeah, yeah.
obviously I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I'm not doing a show about me to some extent, right?
Well, for a lot of my life, like I was, I had a very like negative self-image, which
Yeah.
was like this idea that I'm not, like the first thing like foundationally was this like I'm not supposed to be, like I'm not supposed to exist kind of thing. So what came with that was like a whole bunch of devaluing myself in situations like that, in which case like I wouldn't volunteer information because I didn't think it had value because it was me, right? So I built up like a history of doing that where like I'll listen to other people and I'll be there for their stuff.
Shoulder to cry on guy.
Yeah, and I did that for my whole life, you know what I mean? And it's taken a lot of traumatic events to kind of break me out of that. And that's where it's just like I think there's just a lot of breaking that has happened. That's why I don't really feel like there's anything that I would be super ashamed of because I've had to break through those. Yeah, you know what I mean?
You stood up to them and
Yeah.
accepted them.
I
like-
had that like earlier, like when up until I was like 21, I was that guy, and then everything that I was doing kind of fell apart on me all at once. And when I had to reestablish myself, it was a lot of like, fuck that, none of that worked. I'm going for me now.
Yeah.
And that's where I got that bit of arrogance. I still have it, like where I'm just like, there's nothing I can't do. Like I have that built into me, and I almost have to tell myself that you're not that tough. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have to almost, because I'm the guy who's just going to chase after shit even if it's unrealistic. And I think I'm going to get there. And sometimes I'm like, no, you can't do that. You can't. What are you doing? Because
Or you could, but you have to put all of yourself into it
well,
permanently.
yeah, and then how much damage do you do in the acquisition?
That's right. That I could do that, but it's going to take 5 years of full dedication.
But then that was after the first big part of my life, which the first 20 years of my life felt more like 40 to me in some way, of being the guy who never asked for anything and just took what I got and tried to give as much as I could to others. Like shoulder to cry on. I'm always there for you, but I don't care if you're there for me.
Yeah.
I did that for so long. It felt like much longer in the moment to moment. And so when that broke for me, I got real greedy. Like really, really greedy. I've come to some sort of balance of the two these days, but that greed that I learned has always stayed with me, where it's like I can be self-centered as fuck sometimes. And I know, so I have to remind myself, Jer, no one cares as much about your shit as you do.
Yeah.
That is such a valuable thing for me to be able to say.
And on your deathbed, you'll wish you let people in more.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Man, I actually have a story on the concept of sharing, especially podcast sharing. 2 days ago, I had my second session with a tattoo client, and an hour in, he's like, "Oh, I started listening to that podcast you guys do."
Oh, goodness.
And I was immediately like, "Oh man, I don't think I need you knowing that much about inside me. That's crazy."
Yeah, I know.
It was one of my first times where I was like, I wasn't sure I was ready to know that.
By now, there's enough that we've all said that if someone wanted to form a noose, like,
Oh my
there's
God.
enough there.
Yeah.
Is there though?
I think
Well,
so.
I think a noose is the wrong word.
Well,
but
okay, maybe not a noose, but like,
to find some
I
levers.
think,
A necktie, if you will.
yeah, like if you're studying this
necktie.
podcast,
Turtleneck.
and I don't recommend you do so.
Yeah.
It's a colossal waste of your time. But if you were, like, you've gotten to know these characters pretty well.
Yeah.
And just how happens that those are real people up there.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? And there's also a chance that there's something I'm missing that only a viewer could see.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like maybe I'm not the best one to judge. Right? I would love to be able to be both within and outside myself during a conversation. But you can't do that. I try.
Can. It's just kinda
You're not
different-
authentically taking
different
part in
substance.
it then, though, right? Like, if you're absorbing your own conversation,
Yep.
it makes it feel awful fucking artificial. And
Yeah.
so sometimes I have to tell myself, just be fucking present. Like, don't be analyzing every fucking step of the way, or you're
That-
not going to enjoy anything.
That step one is kind of let the water go under the bridge, because I'm constantly trying to explain to myself, hey, let's take all of this a little less seriously and step a little bit lighter. And I don't mean step lighter as in be very gentle with how I live my life, but step a bit lighter as in stop worrying so much about where every damn footstep lands. Stop putting so much effort into every goddamn thing I do. Some things can just be easy in life. Sometimes I can slow down a little bit and just take life in as I wander through it.
I feel like I've been living too easy in
Okay.
some ways. Like,
Yeah.
You work 7 days a week. What are you talking about?
I know, but that's so comfortable for me. Right? Like,
Yeah.
the
Comfortable
idea of
Remy.
changing that is what's hard.
Man,
Me
if
and
you
Lee
had
were
to have
talking
some
this
time
morning.
off, that would scare the shit out of you,
Yeah,
I think.
me and Lee were talking this morning about this for a while, actually. Like, the terrifying thing for me is to walk away from something that's just so easy to keep
You're just
doing.
having deep, heartfelt chats before.
Well, yeah, he was up at like 5, and
I guess,
so was
yeah,
I.
he's up early these
I'm
days.
always up super early too.
Good enough.
So I shared something on Instagram, and he just started messaging me, and then we were talking back and forth.
Good times.
But like, honestly, the hard thing for me to do is to walk away from something that's so fucking comfortable.
Yeah.
Even though it's killing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just like, but I could keep doing this.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it gets me. All my bills are paid. I have more than enough money. Like, I'll never want for anything necessarily, but at some point I can't do this anymore.
You don't want a Bugatti?
Well, whenever I say that, people will
I
be.
don't know.
You can't buy a Lamborghini. Who fucking said I wanted one?
Yeah.
I mean, Lamborghini said you wanted one.
Right, but like, as long as you're
Which is a reason to not want one.
Fair. I'd take one.
Yeah.
Hey, if someone gives one to me, sure.
So my question
I'll sell
to you is, what do you do with not being that reserved anymore? How do you be a little more? I want for Kevin now.
I fall down the stairs and then go to the gym because that's what I want to do.
And sit on a purple ass.
That's my honest. Like I just trying to live and converse as honestly as I feel I can. So like just when I talk to normal people, Jesus Christ, that's the wrong way of saying that. But just
NPCs.
people that are NPCs.
When I talk to
God.
NPCs.
Yeah. But just people that don't see life the way that I see life. You know what I mean? Like I just feel a little bit outside of it right now.
living according to the script like any good NPC.
May as well be a cow in the field, just eating the grass.
I just try and be as honest and kind as I can, and as I think they will be able to accept. Because I could start talking about weird shit and then make them feel off-putted. But, if I can just treat them with kindness, and if I can be as honest about my own experience and my own life as I possibly can, I think that's helpful for me because it feels better. Just my existence is better if I'm honest. And I hope that some people will see it and try and move towards that place of peace as well. Because peace is a nice place to be.
Well, when I'm in here Friday? Mm-hmm. I was realizing, moment to moment, kind of just how broken my equilibrium is. Because everything where I work is...
Chaos?
Not just chaos. It's not just the work is stressful or anything. Because I don't find it as stressful. It's the way I interact with it. Mm-hmm. I have everyone at arm's length, where I don't want anyone near me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to interact with any of these people, other than a few select ones, on any friendly level. I just want them to stay away from me and shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Right? I would be quite capable of never speaking to most of the people I work with ever again.
Okay.
Right? It sounds terrible, right?
No, it doesn't. But it's the type of job you can do that.
But it's just nothing good has ever come from those places, and I'm done caring about that. I'd just rather put it in my past one day and move from it. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
So for me, I don't think it's that I care about this is going to sound cold, but everybody's existence is their own.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I don't wish anyone any bad feelings.
Yeah. All that I can control is me within my own existence, and how I feel is right for me to operate is the route that I tend to go. So, if that makes any sense.
No, I can appreciate you saying you want to be kind, right? Because I think kind and nice are two different things.
Oh, yeah. Because I've been mean and been kind.
Yeah.
That's right.
I will. There's no reason to do, because you can be nice and it's wrong.
Yeah.
Nice isn't always good.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, you have to know yourself as to when you're being truthful in what you're doing. Because, I'm not going to, if someone's trying to make me feel a certain way about something, I'm going to push it right back to them. Because really, you can't.
Yeah.
If you're going through shit and you're feeling away, that's yours.
Precisely.
I'm good. And I will push it right back to you because I have no real reason to take on your stuff and make it about me. Mm-hmm. Because I got my own.
Yep.
And my stuff, I have a hard enough time managing. There's a lot going on in my life, so I'm not able to take on anyone else's stuff. But I can be genuinely me while they're doing their stuff.
Yeah. So where I would go is when you have a person who hates you, on a very deep level, you've never gotten along for more than a decade. Yeah. Right. And there's all this hate, animosity built up over the years. Right? And you're just I could just walk away from it and never think about that person again. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're in there, you have to interact with that person, right?
Yep.
So I'm just okay to not speak. What I can't stand is when you then start making those social lubricant kind of niceties at one another. Where it's good morning, how was your such... I don't fucking care. You don't fucking care. Let's not do this.
So the thing for me is
I can't do the social.
I've had relationships where I have to do that for sure. Work relationships where I kind of have to pull some.
Oh, I know. I have to do it
just to lubricate it a bit.
I just fucking hate it.
See, okay, I thought you're saying you didn't do it, and I'm I've definitely had cases where I kind of just have to, and I just do it.
So my question would be, can you want good things for those you hate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's not forcing.
My opinion is
I do want them to not sit there feeling crappy about how I dislike them the whole time.
No, God, no. And
some of the time, sure, but not the whole time.
And I'm not even thinking I'm right in this. I'm saying these two people cannot get along. It's terrible that they have to work together, but they do, right? So then it's not like I hope that person gets in a car crash on their way home.
Well, that's good.
Right? It's just I don't want to have to interact with this person anymore, yet we happen to work in the same sphere.
Okay.
I have a lot of that there where it's
Yeah, see, this is where I get all hippie because I tend to see people for what they could be. So that's how I tend to interact with people. Just
Except-
because they're in a state that doesn't, just because it's oil and water right now, doesn't mean that they stay that way. And so whenever I'm trying to interact with somebody in that respect, I'm usually, unfortunately, seeing them in a way more positive light than they may currently be in.
I think that it's easy to do. Like, I could probably do that here.
Yeah, it's easy here.
Because there's not,
Yep.
people bumping into one another and high tension all the time.
It's the same personalities, and it's a slow enough work environment that you can get a bead on where the differences
This is
are, and you can know where you
someone
can
going
play
out
it.
hardest- front.
The hardest thing here is what to listen to. That is the legit
Yeah.
hardest part of our job. We can't figure out what songs to
Which is
listen to or
insane
what
to me
TV
because
to
I
watch.
could be completely indifferent to all of that.
Yeah, you say that until you listen to the same shit over and over again, and then eventually you're just like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Fair enough. It may creep up on me,
Yeah.
but like where
Because I
I'm
love
at
some
right
CCR,
now,
but please don't play CCR today.
Yeah, you can't play a CCR all day. It just can't
you
happen.
can't do it.
The occasional
You'll die.
CCR is great.
I guess you probably have more time to notice it here.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like,
You have 8 hours at
whatever's-
least.
Whatever's on where I am, I don't notice
And
half
well,
the
you're
Yeah.
time.
tattooing for hours straight, and that music is slowly seeping into
Yeah.
your head. It's just
And there's
seeping
like
in. It's
there's a
seeping
point in time where it's like it's all nonsense. Like you hear
Well,
nothing
you're
until you see it.
You're barely using your prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
at all. You're barely using your language processing centers, except for some idle conversation.
I can tell this is a real problem for you boys.
It's a legit issue.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, and I get it because to be in a place where you can feel artistic and concentrate and have to have that level of intensity and then have things
Where your
break
brain
that
is
focus.
funneling power to. Like yesterday, I had a reasonable tattoo, had a great client, a few small chats, mostly sat in silence, but we watched 2 really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
Funny movies, good times, had some laughs. I got home last night. I was dead, dude. Like fucking dead.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think
Tired.
it's
Brainy
tired.
work.
Yeah, tired.
It's a mental exhaustion that people don't understand.
Yeah, and
legit.
I would still be tired. Just my energy level baseline these days. I'd still be tired after work, but I think the movies, as much as I had super enjoyed them during my work day,
Probably worked your brain more.
I think they were trying to work 2
You're
different parts of my brain.
multitasking.
I was
Yeah.
multitasking the whole
It's
day.
the same thing we do. Like, this is going to sound crazy, but when I'm training a new cook at work, first couple days, I don't say anything to them. And then as they start catching on a couple months in, I'll start lobbing little softball questions and stuff back and forth, see how much talk they can do while they work. But I won't talk to them right away, not while they're working. And then once you feel like they're pretty strong, then you can maintain a conversation the whole day and they don't drop anything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But because it's taking different parts of your brain to operate.
Yeah,
different. Like if
big
you're
time.
staying apprised to everything you're doing for your job and communicating, well, that's 2 different muscles you're working.
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of magic.
It's multitasking.
Yeah.
It sounds easier than it is.
Nah, it sounds incredibly difficult to
But
me.
it's one of those rules of
When you're
if
dealing
you
with
can't
stuff that
talk
requires
and
focus.
work,
Yeah.
then guess which one's going to stop?
Yeah.
And
talking.
And cooking requires different quantities of total attention, but attention in a wider variety of spaces. Like in tattooing, it's really spatial, fine motor function, and then some basic awareness of what's going on in your ink setup, how you're wiping. Like you got a few process-based functions. In cooking, though, you have a lot of temporal-based functions. In cooking, you're really like, when this is done, this is going to be done a minute after. When this is up, this is up. These are for the same thing. These are for the same thing. These all go together. These all go together.
Yeah,
These are the first batch. These are the second batch.
That thing that makes you register time is probably getting worked like a
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
'Cause, like, for
time
us-
and sequential functions too.
For us, time feels way more. Like it feels like
Well-
more time has gone past than it has.
Well, I put a clock in so it doesn't surprise me all the time.
Yeah, that's
because
good.
I'd get tattooed and be going and I have no idea what time it is and be like, it's 3 o'clock. What the fuck happened?
I should
and
have eaten
and
hours
it's so
ago.
into the
and that'll
process.
piss
yeah.
and that'll like fuck up my day now just because I'm either too far ahead or too far behind where I was hoping to be at this
And
point.
some
plan.
types of things take longer to execute than others.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're just worried about executing.
Yeah.
them. You're not thinking about how long they take.
Yep.
Well, suddenly it's 2 in the afternoon. You're realizing you're working till 7 tonight,
Yep.
and you wanted to be home at 6.
Yep. And you told
And-
your significant other you would be.
Yeah, you made plans,
Yeah.
and now you're like, oh, I'm breaking those plans.
Yeah, 100%.
That is happening now, and I just found out right now.
Or it's like, yeah, this is going to take me the whole day, and you were done in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
Which has been happening lately.
That's one of the things. Anytime somebody says like, "Can I get a quote?" I'm always just like, dude, you have no idea how this works.
That's
So
not what's
if
gonna
you want to
happen.
quote, well, so I had a guy doing that the other day. He's messaging me about getting a quote, and I'm like, actually, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
My tattoos are $945 unless you specify a different budget, and then I will design you a tattoo that I can get done for a different budget. Like
In the time that we have allotted, this is what's going to happen
yeah.
because that's what we're here for.
If you want less tattoo, tell me first, and I'll design less tattoo.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what you need, what you want, and then ask me to give you a price because the price is $945.
Yeah.
Unless you
say otherwise.
unless you say otherwise.
Unless
like,
you say I don't got that.
yeah, you tell me.
Yeah. Unless you say I got 5.
If you have 5, well, we'll design a tattoo worth 5.
Yeah. And you're going to have to do it again.
That being said, $945 for a big
Well, no,
tattoo is not bad.
it's going to be
No, it's
smaller.
very
It's going to be
reasonable.
simpler.
It just sounds big because most times you'd be thinking, oh, how many sessions, right? But if you're
Yeah.
getting it all done in one, that's
Yeah, it's
pretty reasonable.
yeah, I'll give you a whole tattoo in one session, and it's
Yeah.
$945.
Yeah. And you're saving at that point in time.
I've had that Witch King on the back of my thigh was like $5,000.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt that at all.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
So but it wasn't that in one day, right? It was over quite a while.
Precisely.
So people don't think about the totals of what they pay for,
That's
and
right.
then they hear a number like that, and it's like, what?
Where's
Well,
my
it's like that.
No.
Where's my sleeves are $5
That's
grand.
just the whole thing.
I finished my second full 4-day sleeve yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's so reasonable.
Yeah, that's so fucking reasonable.
So reasonable.
He's still gonna come back for a little highlight session.
Yeah.
There's a few things I want to like
Tweak.
smoothen out. There's a few places I worked in with a medium or a dark wash that I want to go back and saturate with a light wash. You know, like he's stoked to spend a few more hours on it.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
So there's a few things I can go in and fine
you do
tune.
a
Yep.
sleeve in 4 sessions. You're
Wanted to have a 5th
Yeah.
session for highlights and cool shit.
yeah.
It's hard for people to understand that a sleeve should be $5,000 to $8,000
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, well, you're
just
going
should
to
be.
spend a lot more than that on it if you don't end up spending that much.
Yep.
If you want it to look half decent.
Well, it's like that Inked mag featured that dude who's a collector or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was talking about spend 150 grand on his bodysuit, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yep, probably.
Yeah, easy.
It depends what level of artist you're going to. That's it.
Well, he's flying around the world for it.
Guaranteed.
Well, in that case, yeah.
I'm well over $100,000 on tattoos.
Easily, yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Just in a month, it's $1,000
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, roughly.
Yeah.
Right? And that's now. That's,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's at a good deal.
That's at a good deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way.
No.
And I was going twice, 3 times as much of that for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've been forking out money on tattoos forever.
Yeah.
At a steep ticket. It's decent price, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
of
like,
course.
you can't get tattooed for cheap.
No.
You cannot.
Well, you can.
You can.
Ink can go in skin
But
for
it's
cheap.
But it's the wrong kind of cheap.
oh yeah, it's
But
probably
like,
the wrong
people
kind of ink.
should not be thinking about the price. Like the price shouldn't be the
No.
main factor.
Well, I mean,
you're already in a. This is your candy.
Yeah.
Right. This is your.
That's the thing.
sweet
It's a luxury. It's a luxury environment in general.
treat. Yeah.
On
Like
the
this is
subject
not
of
a necessity in that
sleeves
respect.
and budgets, I had the best consult yesterday. This chick wants really cool concept sleeve. She's open to. I can't do her concept exactly as she planned, but she was super
Was it the
open.
bug one?
It was the bug plant
Yeah.
one. So super cool concept. She only has one little tattoo on her arm currently. And to make it even cooler, the guys over at Nectar recommended her to me, which
Nice.
like means a lot to me, right?
Yeah,
And her budget said $3,000. So I was like, that a good sleeve's gonna be a little more than that. And she's like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Most people here understand that. Yeah, it's
If
5
you're
is
willing
more
to
likely
go
for a
3,
sleeve.
be willing to go 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're up to the thousands already, what's a few more? Like it's not like you're going from 5 to 5.
Yeah.
500
Yeah.
to 5,000. Like it's pretty close. If you get into the $1,000
Yeah.
range, just spend a little extra.
Especially on a sleeve. Like if you're gonna do your thigh, you know what? Finding a little bit, but if money's really a factor for you, finding an artist that's a bit cheaper but still puts out quality work, like that is kind of reasonable to me. When it comes to doing a sleeve,
Yeah. Go for it.
I don't think that's at all reasonable. I think that you should be pushing into whatever bracket you need to push into.
Well, and it's also about figuring out almost like a diet that will work for you too.
Yeah.
So say you can only afford 2 hours.
Yep. That's okay.
chip away at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Or save up for a year.
Or that.
Because it's a sleeve. It's worth waiting a year or two if you have to.
Too. You could save up, or you can chip
Yep.
away at it, or
Yep.
whatever. But like, there are ways to do it so that it doesn't feel like such a steep price tag.
That's right.
Like, you just have to plan ahead.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of it is just a marathon. Like, for me anyway, it's just like a
Yeah.
metabolism thing. where
We
it's
get
like,
lots of people coming in here with the race mentality. Like,
Yeah.
how much
Oh,
for a
yeah.
sleeve? Whoa, that's not the plan. Hold
You
on.
just dip my arm in something, or
Yeah.
You just put the stencil on and take it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have to sleeve.
permanence.
Yeah.
At the last shop I worked at, you had regularly get people coming in going like, do you have space to do like a sleeve on me today?
To do like a sleeve.
Can you
I
fit-
love the way it's phrased.
Can you
too.
fit me in for a sleeve this afternoon?
Yeah.
You know, just kind of a sleeve.
You got about an hour and a half to do a sleeve on me.
You get a phone call. How much for a sunrise? Okay.
So I will say some of those things do make me want to hang up.
What's like we were looking
Oh,
at the
yeah.
emails, and I was just
I've been
like,
rude at times by accident.
the level
So
of
just-
self-importance
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yep.
That one that was like 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And it was like, there's like this much information
Yeah.
in there.
You can distill it. It's
you
fine.
could have just taken like 2 sentences out of this and gotten all you needed.
Well, that's why like our booking page now is so helpful, because it's just like, otherwise I need to go through all of those conversational things.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
just
want to
like-
read your fucking best-selling novel.
Yeah.
Like,
Not to mention, like, they usually go like, how much for a tattoo? And then I got to start off everything.
What was-
It's just like, what? And
Yeah.
then I'm gonna email back and forth with you, and you're not gonna get it for a long time until like
send me
email
some
9.
designs.
Yeah, jeez.
Send me some designs.
That was one that happened the other day. She was just like,
Yeah.
I don't want this. Can you send me some designs? It's like, what?
Yeah,
Of
just
what?
have someone from
Some.
just have each artist drop a design and send them my way.
It's wild, man. Like, again, those are just those things I wish I could just hit delete or like auto respond. Like, please adhere to a certain level of intelligence before.
Message requests, clear all.
Yeah, just like delete all.
I don't need to hear from any of
Huh,
you.
never got it. That's wild.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
If only.
But instead, those are like my like when I think of the things that take a lot of brain power. It's really like I go through all the simple stuff first, and then the stuff that's going to take me a minute to kind of get over the initial reaction to try and get mad at this person. Then I have to give a lot of good energy to phrasing it correctly so that they don't feel stupid because they just don't know or whatever it is.
It's a clunky tool, but some social media, I've seen Instagram do it to me once, where you got to reply to something, and it'll be like, "Are you sure you want to send this?" It doesn't happen all the time though, and I'm not sure what sends it off.
Weird.
Like if you're commenting something, it
Yeah.
will stop you and go, "Are you sure you want to send this comment?"
Are you angry right now?
Yeah, like that kind of thing. But it's not very intuitive because I never am typing those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
So like it shouldn't happen to me. But like someone who's going to call you an asshole or call you a name or something, that's when it should probably double check that.
I wonder if
It's
it
just really
happens, like-
clunky.
I wonder how much it happens with like, okay, how far away from the time frame of the comment is your response?
There's probably something like that
You know
to
what I mean?
it.
Like, just did you see this and then respond immediately? Oh, we're gonna put a little safety
Yeah, whoa,
safety net in there. Like, hey, are you gonna say something that's gonna get you fired right now?
Do you want to say this is a draft?
It's just like it is almost like that.
There's one question that says, "Do you want to say this is a draft?" And then there's one button, "Save as draft."
Yeah.
No
Part
other
of me
options.
thinks-
Just
no
save this.
send, just save as draft. God damn it.
Take 5.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks it's a good thing, but the other part of me is like, okay, so this would never happen in real life. If I just said something ridiculous, it would just come out of me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's no situation in real life where I would ever have the time to speak 3 paragraphs at someone without them having a chance to stop me. So, like, we're already not operating in a realistic way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not too far of a stretch to have something like that intervene.
Not at all.
So I don't know.
So it's almost 10. Today's a big day. I'll share before we clap. My first ever hunting licenses become valid today.
Hell yeah!
This is the beginning of my first hunting season.
Sweet, I'm stoked for you.
Booyah.
That's awesome.
Get out there and kill some